Hey there, it's Sheryl, mental toughness coach, published author, speaker, and mother to a couple of great kids who are now high school and college Division I student athletes. Today we're going to talk about something that might force you to think a little differently. We're going to talk about one secret about errors that your competition probably doesn't know about. And this is going to be super cool. I'm going to introduce a term that you probably never heard of, and it might sound a little strange at first. But before we get into that, keep in mind, and I'm totally on the same page, that errors are no fun. I've made my share of them. We all make them. We're humans, so it's a part of getting better at whatever is important to us. Now, errors usually are associated with a host of negative emotions. They can make us feel angry, sad, disappointed, frustrated, all of those things, and that's totally normal. And here's the thing, world-class performers feel these emotions too. So cut yourself a little bit of slack when you make errors, and also when you have the emotions to go along with them. Now, there's good news and bad news. The good news is that there's something that you can learn. It's a learned skill, so that means you can do it and you can manage errors going over this learned skill that we're going to talk about. The bad news is that it's not human nature, and it's not particularly easy at first. But here's the thing. The cool thing about it is that your competition, even if your competition is yourself or whether you're competing against others, competition, either you or the people you're competing against, likely don't know about what this one secret is, or they are unlikely or unwilling to stick with it and master it. So if you can take note of these next couple things, you're going to be so far ahead of the game, it will be amazing. So the one secret that we're going to talk about is called error acceleration. Now, that is a term that I'm pretty safe in saying that I coined, and it's a little bit of a strange term because people say, well, why would you teach others how to accelerate errors? And that's not really what I'm talking about. By error acceleration, it doesn't mean how to do errors quicker, because how ridiculous would that be? What it means is how to think about errors a little differently and use them to accelerate progress. Now, there's a couple ways you can do that, and that's what we're going to talk about now. The first thing is to recognize any emotions that come along with you making errors. As I mentioned before, some of those emotions might be anger, frustration, disappointment, any of those things, totally normal, like I mentioned, but the first step is to recognize them. And remember, world-class performers feel these exact same emotions. So know that not only is it normal, it is okay. Now, that leads me into step 2 of the secret that we're going to talk about, and about error acceleration. And the second part is to make peace with however you feel about those errors. Now, what I'm going to talk about is very subtle, but it's very important, so you can manage errors and manage the emotions that go along with them. What's typical when people make an error, they get very upset with themselves. They have the negative emotions that I talked about, like anger, fear, disappointment, frustration, all those things. Totally fine. But what's not fine is they keep really, it's typical to kind of berate yourself for them, like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I'm so incompetent. What was I thinking? And it goes on. And unfortunately, what that does is it kind of helps force that error from our short-term memory into our long-term memory. And so we're actually practicing the very thing that we don't want to do again. So that actually isn't a great thing. But if we can make peace with those errors, meaning I made the error, I am so frustrated, and now this is the important part. Take that emotion, and that emotion is okay, but you need to redirect it so it is constructive, which leads me into the third part of error acceleration, and that's use the emotion associated with errors constructively. So it's okay to feel whatever negative emotion you're feeling with this error, whether it's anger, fear, frustration, whatever it is, and go, I'm so frustrated. But rather than beat yourself up about it, use it constructively. And here's how: by thinking of what you should have done. So in the example of a soccer player, maybe there was a shot on goal and it sprayed very wide. So a soccer player can still feel extremely frustrated that he or she missed that shot, but instead of going negative, they can be, I am so frustrated. And then they might say something like, kick towards the middle of the ball, kick under the ball. So immediately use that emotion and channel it back into doing something constructive. So error acceleration is one kind of secret tip, tool, and habit, all balled up in one, that world-class athletes use to accelerate their progress. If you can learn to recognize the emotions that go along with making errors and mistakes, make peace with them, and then use those emotions constructively and use them to really think about what you should have done rather than what you should not have done, or to get too much on yourself about making an error, you will be well on your way to not just maintaining your progress, but accelerating your progress and being as awesome as possible. So remember, after an error, recognize how you're feeling, make peace with it, know that it's okay, and then use those emotions very constructively and put those emotions into how you should have done it, or the change that you need to make to do it better next time. I hope you found this content useful. Please do share. Keep your eyes open for a mental toughness questionnaire that we're producing. It's going to be out soon, along with a 7-day mental toughness challenge for everyone on my list. It will be coming to you free. You will see it first. I'm so excited. We will keep you up to date. It's going to be ready shortly. Thanks so much. Don't forget to share if this is going to help others. Share on Facebook. I look forward to seeing you next time.